From the very beginning of the ARM Cortex-M video series on this channel, there was a plan to make an example project using every newly introduced peripheral. But after recording some videos, I realized that it takes way too much time and I don't want to wait anymore. Let's then not waste any more time and start a new awesome project. Before we start, I would like to invite you to my Discord server where we can discuss many embedded programming topics. Also, don't forget to follow my Twitter account and subscribe to this channel. Programming microcontrollers and peripherals is interesting, but is also very time-consuming. It takes so much time that in theory short projects last very long or end up unfinished, often without even a scratch of application logic. Therefore, from now on, I will not only continue recording Cortex-M series, but also I will start a real project using BlackPill board and modem I/O library as a replacement for self-developed peripheral drivers. By project, I mean a full development, including mechanical and electrical design, recorded and published as videos. As for programming, most part I will do during live coding sessions. I hope you'll like it. Let's now define what I would like to get. I want a laser diode and I want to control its brightness. Next, I want to control the laser diode so that the laser dot moves up, down, left and right. In other words, I want to pan and tilt the diode, and for this I want to use two small servos. I also want to manually control and program laser movements, so I need some user interface. Let's say a 2x16 LCD is good enough for an output, and as an input I want a rotary encoder with an integrated switch. More or less the same as I have on my Ender 3D printer. Oh, and a detachable logging interface using UART for monitoring and debugging the application. All this in a neat 3D printed cover and controlled with BlackPill board. We know what are the overall requirements for the project, so now let's get all the needed components and decide on how to connect them all together. First, the control unit, BlackPill board. Nothing to say about that, we already know it. Next, the laser diode. It comes with a resistor, so I don't have to worry about limiting current. I want to control the brightness, so I need a PWM signal. To generate PWM, I will use timer 2 and its channel 1 output on PA5 pin. Also, I have to control the diode with a transistor to power it with 5 volts. Not a big issue, one resistor, one transistor, and we are good to go. Now, to move the diode, I need 2 servos, and I will use TowerPro SG92R. Servos are also controlled with PWM signals. Here it will be timer 1 and channels 1 and 2 on pins PA8 and PA9. As for the UI, I will use the exact same LCD used during past live coding stream session. It is controlled with I2C and I will connect it to PB6 and PB7. For the rotary encoder as a user input, I will use KY040, which has 2 alternating signals for rotation and 1 switch signal. Let's connect these to PA6, PA7 and PB0. The remaining logging interface I will connect to UART1 on pins PA15 and PB3. As for the power supply, we need 5 volts for laser diode, servos, LCD and encoder. We can get this using USB-C connector on the board. The only element working with 3.3 volts is the microcontroller itself. That is not an issue though, as all used pins on the microcontroller are 5 volts tolerant and all external components work fine with digital 3.3 volts signals. Perfect! Now that we know what are the project components and how to connect them all together, we can proceed to the next video where we will work on some mechanical design and 3D modeling. Let me know if you like the idea of a new project development. Thanks for watching and see you next time!